going back and adding batteries to existing solar customers, whether we installed their solar or some other company did.
Welcome to the very first virtual podcast, Huddle with ES Solar. Today with me, we have Braden McFarland, the Director of Preliminary Design with ES Solar. Braden, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so like Kevin said, my name's Braden. I've been with the company a little over 5 years now. Honestly, I started out knocking doors and have worked my way up to this position. I oversee proposals and site measurements departments. It's kind of why we've asked Jason to come here, because we use their software for everything at Scanifly. And we're super excited to have Jason here.
And speaking of that introduction of Jason, we have Jason Steinberg, the CEO of Scanifly. And Jason, welcome. You're here with us virtually. Where are you located? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm based out of New Jersey. Scanifly is a fully remote business. And so we actually have our team spread out all across the U.S. and a couple of countries outside the U.S. And in terms of my background, I've been in the solar industry since I was a student and spent several summers, starting in 2010, as a rooftop installer and doing a bunch of things for local contractors in the Northeast. After that, I spent time as a research analyst and on the investment banking side, really helping learn more and more about renewable energy projects, investments, and companies around the US and Canada, and then ultimately helping secure financing for a variety of projects, mostly in solar. In 2018, I joined up with Scanifly founder John Novak, and we incorporated the business, and then we've been building Scanifly ever since. Really, Scanifly's focus is to help automate and digitize a ton of the manual processes that go on in solar, particularly on the ops side, and then more recently on the front end sales side as well.
Okay. And for me, what is Scanifly? Like, what do you do? Like, day to day, like, what is Scanifly? So as a customer, like, when they see Scanifly or hear about it, what is Scanifly?
It's going to revolutionize the solar industry if it hasn't already done that. No, I'm just kidding. So we're a PV design and field operations software at our core. And so I'll give you an example to best explain it, right? So if you are a solar contractor and you're currently climbing on the roof to get hand measurements, and you're climbing up the ladder and you're taking out your tape and you're putting it on pad and paper, and then your design team has to read the chicken scratch from the field, respectfully, and interpret what's going on from that and outdated satellite imagery and manually create a design, right? That manual workflow is what our core effort focuses on automating and digitizing, right? So instead, contractors will go to a site and fly a drone to collect roof data and measurements, and use the Scanifly mobile app to digitize all of the electrical, structural, and property data. All of that is then automatically uploaded to the Scanifly cloud, and a designer a contractor at ES Solar will then get a photorealistic 2-scale automatic output of the property, by which they can do a very quick design and know that they're going to have perfect accuracy, a full fitment of their layout, incredibly accurate production and shading analysis using on-site data, not remote data, and ultimately just save a ton of time and have a much safer experience. And what this means for contractors is that they're able to deliver a ton more value and professionalism and quality ultimately to their customers, to homeowners, to property owners, to business owners. It allows contractors to look your customers in the eye and say, we're not here to overpromise and underdeliver like a lot of other contractors do. We're going to deliver quality, and we can stand behind it. And that's really what our software and our technology empowers contractors to do.
And safety too, but they don't have to go on the roof because you're flying a drone over the house. So that's awesome.
I've never met a homeowner that wants anyone going on the roof if they don't have to, right? I think the homeowner rather talks solar while you're standing on the ground than shouting at you on the roof. So the fact that you guys have been doing drones for, I think, 6 or 7 years, even before we met, shows how tech forward you are, which is really amazing. I mean, just the arc of the industry that we've seen, it must have been sub 2% of solar contractors that were flying drones when we incorporated the business. So you guys were way ahead. And that just shows how you've been leveraging technology to offer a lot more value to homeowners and to show a really great experience. And so we love that we can add our software into that mix for you now and really accelerate together.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Jason, ultimately, as you're well aware, it was kind of a battle when we first met because we were already flying the drones. I'd assume most of the companies you work with aren't already doing a drone program. Like you said, it's very, very low impact to the industry right now. So all the added value that you guys had was really what made us come over to you guys, because we already had that drone program. So all the cool drone stuff, we were already using it. So that's just a testament to what you guys have done at Scanifly, that with all the added value that you bring.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think our engineering team has worked really hard on offering a variety of different features in the software that allow you to centralize your software stack. I think you guys centralized 4 or 5 softwares into one, right? Several of them were not solar specific. Some of them were solar specific, but overpriced. And so we feel really fortunate that you guys are leaning into our whole platform. I think what's great about it is that centralization allows you to be more efficient with your customers, right? It allows you guys to have one platform so there isn't all this data pushed and pulled all over the place. You're not overspending on software that you don't really want, which puts pricing pressure when you are pricing for your customers. And so by leaning into a central platform, you're able to deliver a seamless workflow, which has a lot of downstream benefits for your sales team, for your ops team, for you guys to execute at scale. So I think it's been mutually beneficial.
And how many drones do we have here at ES Solar?
So we have about 10 separate site measurement techs right now. Each one of them with their own drone. They take out to every single site measurement and fly to get those models of the house. Whether we're adding just solar and a battery, or just a battery, we're still going to fly that drone, just so that we have all the information that we need surrounding that home.
Mm-hmm. And if they already have solar, they can see if we can add more solar panels, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To help charge that battery.
Yeah, it's honestly super seamless. It's amazing. The 3D models we get are unmatched. Honestly, the last company we were using, we only got a detail view of the roof, where now with Scanifly, we get a detail view all the way around the house. So we get the sides of the walls, the entire yard, everything with Scanifly rather than just the roof.
I just want to flag something as well, which I think is really unique here, is going back to that you guys were droning so early on before we even met. I just think it's really important to underscore that for you, you're not just tech forward as a business, but you're very mindful of your employees, right? The fact that you didn't lean into the age-old adage of boots on the roof is the only way to do business, which we hear a lot, shows that you care about your employees, right? I can't tell you how many businesses that we meet where they don't have an issue putting people on the roof when it's not necessary, right? Obviously, installers on there, but they're typically harnessed in. On the site assessment or site survey side, it's a different story. And no homeowner wants you to put nails into their roof for a site survey. So you don't need to do that, right? But the fact that you guys were mindful of the health and safety of your team, and you thought and put that first way early on in the technology arc for our industry, I think is a testament to how you guys invest in your people. I know you pay for their drone licensing. I know you pay for other roles at your business, like electricians and designers to take coursework. That is unique. And I think that that's something we'd love to see more contractors do. I think from our perspective, serving the larger industry, we would love to see more contractors follow your lead and invest in their people in that way. And think a little bit more forward around, we don't need to do it the way we've always done it before, right? There's a better way. There's a way that actually is safer for our employees and invests in their career. And I think the added benefit is there's a lot of people in the solar industry that have been in for a long time that probably don't want to go on the roof much longer, but they have so much knowledge capital around what goes into a project. And they might be older, or they've had an injury, or maybe they're a veteran, or whatever it is, that because you are investing in your people the way you are, and you allow for droning, they can be a member of your team. And that expands your candidate pool, and it makes your team much more potent and much more technologically savvy because you have a larger base of people that can do this. And so it just doubles down on the fact that you guys are investing in your people, the right people. And I think that differentiates you a lot from contractors that don't do it this way in your markets.
Definitely. Also, just to expand on that, obviously we're keeping people off the roof as much as possible. But now when our installers do show up, we know that we have something extremely accurate that they can spend as little time on the roof as possible because they're not going to get up there and not have things fit and need to move things around. Also, it kind of helps the homeowner because it's less mistakes that are going to happen on the roof because sometimes you get going and realize you run out of room. Scanifly kind of eliminates that for us. We're able to get it right every single time and know that all these panels are going to fit, eliminating the time that we need installers on the roof.
Yeah. Do you guys have a sense for, I know we've done some polling, but let me ask you if you have a gut on this. Do you have a sense for how many revisions, a percentage of revisions that occur for the majority of contractors in our industry, right? Revisions like they show up on site for install day and it doesn't fit, for example. Any guesses on that?
Oh man, I'd probably guess somewhere maybe around 15-20% at the minimum. Pretty good.
What do you think? You want to take a stab at it?
I'm gonna go with like around there too, or like around 10%, 15%. Yeah.
What we've seen is that over half the industry has between 25 and 50% revision rates. Not all of it is like the solar panels don't fit. Some of it's electrical or main service panel upgrade or different factors. But that's a ton of install crews that are wasting time or homeowners that have to adjust their schedules. And so I just think that if you're using our technology, if you're being mindful of your employees and workflow like you guys are, the experience, not just at sales or survey, but all the way through ops and install is just so much smoother. Like what you show that homeowner at that true up stage, like this is what you're going to get for your final layout, knowing that it fits, that's huge. That's huge for just delivering quality and doing what you're going to say. I think our industry, we have to step it up a little bit more and do better than that revision rate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Plus with Scanifly, it's also like faster. Like they can get their survey or their site measurements back faster, right? Like pretty quick.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's just so efficient.
Yeah, it's extremely efficient. And just for everybody that's not familiar with how Scanifly works, essentially they've put everything all into one software. We collect all of our drone images using Scanifly. We collect all of our on-the-ground photos using Scanifly, and it puts everything in folders for us, gives us a really nice printable PDF that we can send into cities and utilities for the pictures that they require for permitting. And then it goes seamless from the pre-sale design all the way through the final design and engineering plans. Everything just flows together all inside one platform. So Jason kind of touched on this earlier, but we replaced like 3 or 4 separate softwares right off the bat when we switched to Scanifly and was able to bring it all into one thing that made it so much more seamless.
What's the turnaround time like that? Say you fly the drone over a customer's house today. When can you give them like a layout of their solar design? Yeah.
So essentially the design's finished up in a couple hours after all the pictures are submitted. It's super quick. Then it has to go through our design team, which right now we're super busy. So that can take, between 1 and 2 weeks typically. But realistically, we do have a design that night after we've flown it. Mm-hmm. Just takes a little bit of time to get through design before we send out that final layout of panels and everything like that to our customers.
Okay. Do the customers tend to change the design, or once they see it, they're like, oh, I want the panel somewhere else? Does Scanifly work with that as well, like where you can put the different solar panels throughout the house?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can move them anywhere on that roof. I would say the majority of our customers trust our expertise. It's what we do every day, but sometimes for aesthetic reasons, customers would prefer panels to be moved to a different roof face. And that's a really simple, quick fix. It's a 2-minute fix to move a couple solar panels around and re-simulate that that production, so that we make sure we have those accurate numbers.
And in terms of turnaround time, just going back to your point, our software can produce the 3D model in 30 minutes. So, your design team can pick it up pretty quickly. And to Braden's point, like, they do that. But I just want to underscore that this survey and designer turnaround time that is homeowner or property owner facing, right, customer facing, doesn't reflect necessarily quality, right? I think it's important that people know about the nitty gritty of our industry, that just because you're getting your design back, your final layout back like an hour later, it doesn't guarantee that it's the best process or the best layout or the best partner for you. The fact that Braden underscored that his team does a quality check, there is a methodology for review, they want your input. That's important, right? I think often I see contractors that are all about speed, and sometimes that doesn't hurt their quality, right? By using our platform, it basically underpins that you're going to get accuracy and quality. So you've got that baseline, so you're good there. But that doesn't mean that they're doing it in the best way possible, especially if they're not droning. Typically, if they're not droning and they're delivering speed, that's the red flag for a homeowner. So you want to work with someone who's using the latest tech and also is thoughtful about their methodology. And I know you guys are that way.
So now that you get the Scanifly, everything done, the 3D modeling done, what's the process after that? Because I know they can get it done pretty quick. So what's the process after that? How long will it might take?
Yeah. So once the site measurement's complete and we get all those photos uploaded, it gets double checked by our site measurement manager. He makes sure that we do in fact have everything that we need from that site measurement tech. And then it gets passed on to our design team, who's going to go through and make sure all the panels are fitting the way that we want it to, and then do the full electrical drawing. And then at that point, that's when the customer will receive their design for review. And at that same time, we're going to be sending information off to our structural engineer, off to permitting with the city, and then also with the utility. And that's really where a lot of our time comes from, is submitting all of those things to the different places. And now we're waiting on their timelines. So some areas are quicker than others, but some areas take quite a while. Once we get all of that information back, that's when your project coordinator reaches out to you, and they're going to get you put on the install schedule. And yeah, so we're really busy right now. Summers are our busiest times for sure. And just the solar industry in general here, mainly in Utah, but in our other markets as well, is just really, really strong right now. So sometimes our installers are booked out a couple more weeks too. So that's kind of our timeline there.
I think the key thing too is you can't really control the AHJs, the jurisdictions and the permitting offices. You can have good relationships with them. You can bring them donuts, although you don't want to. You gotta be careful with that one, right? But like, there's turnaround times, and they have queues, and not all of them are done electronically as well when we look nationwide. And so that's a part that you can't really control. What you can control though is re-permittings. And so what that means is, drone was flown, design was made, engineering docs created, professional engineering stamping, right? That workflow, and then you submit the permit. It's important you do it correctly. And a lot of that relies on the accuracy from the drone and from the Scanifly process. And then the other side of that equation is Braden's great team. And so that's the part that you want to be mindful of, because, jurisdictions where permitting takes longer, if you have a re-permitting, that can add a lot of time. For example, I know not your market, but Dallas, Texas, I've heard has a pretty lengthy re-permitting situation. And so you want to get your design right the first time. And I know that's what our software does for you. And I know your design team is great at making sure that happens too.
Yeah, definitely. Like, realistically, when we have to resubmit a permit, it takes just as long as it did the first time. They just put you back at the end of the line. So not only are we taking time out of our day to redo something that should have been done correctly in the first place, then we've got to re-wait the entire time again. So that's another reason why we choose the softwares that we do, so that we make sure we get it right the first time. And we have very, very few re-permitting submittals. Because of that, we're just able to do it right in the first place, make sure that our installers have all the information they need to get the job installed correctly, and move on from there, so that we're not repeating that waiting time.
right, Jason, for the future of Scanifly, where do you see your company or the software going, with new technologies, new drones? Can you tell us like where the future is with Scanifly and where they're going with solar?
It's a great and loaded question. I would say the future for us, there's a couple of areas that I'll happily talk about publicly. First, we are looking to do a variety of integrations right now. We are not integrated with everyone, but we are being mindful around the partnerships that we want to strike to deliver additional value for the contractors we serve. And that can be in a variety of flavors, for example, financing partners, right? We know that for your customers that seek financing, you got to do a lot of paperwork for them. And you want to make sure you do it right and quickly and accurately. And a lot of the paperwork that you guys are filing, we have a lot of that data in our software already. And so we want to create an integration where we can automatically send that to your financing provider of choice if your customer is comfortable with that. And that will allow for a much faster financing process and milestone payment process, which benefits you and benefits your customer, right? So that's something that we're looking into. We're also doing a lot more work in commercial solar. So for us, that involves adding additional design features related to inverters, related to stringing and electrical components. And over the next few weeks, you'll start seeing more of those features come out where you'll be able to get more granular in your design experience. Whereas right now we're really focused on module fitment and layout, which is critical. And a lot of people do the electrical stuff in their own AutoCAD softwares, but we want to be able to provide some of that functionality. And then I'd say on the drone side, Scanifly is a fully drone agnostic platform. And what that means is you can use any drone to pair with our software. All we care about is getting good geotagged data. And so continuing to provide support resources. So, contractors like you guys have options for drones, right? Maybe you want expensive ones that have good obstacle avoidance in certain markets where there's big trees. But in more desert-oriented markets, you might want low-cost ones that don't need obstacle avoidance, and that's better for your business, right? And so just making sure that you have more optionality when it comes to your hardware stack, we want to be able to support you in that. And what that means for your customers is that you guys can continue to deliver the quality that you do and maintain that speed, right? If you have optionality with your hardware, you're not locked into a certain ecosystem, right? You can keep your prices, in line, right? And you have flexibility as a business, which ultimately helps all the people that you serve. So those are three different things that we're looking at really closely that we're actively working on right now. There's a bunch of others, but we'll announce them the next time we come on the pod. Thanks for asking me about the future of Scanifly. I'd love to hear, the future for you guys. I know you've had some changes recently, and you guys run an amazing business. So where are you taking it over the next few months or years?
Yeah, so definitely I can speak a little bit towards that. We're constantly looking for new markets to expand into. We've recently went into California, and that team's really starting to take off. We're really noticing the market wants the battery systems, and most other solar contractors out there just have not figured out batteries yet. We're, I would say, probably one of the nation's leaders in installing batteries especially with our slight partnership with Rocky Mountain Power and the WattSmart program. Going back and adding batteries to existing solar customers, whether we installed their solar or some other company did, being able to add a battery to their system and firm up the grid, that's kind of how Rocky Mountain Power likes to phrase it. So just going around doing these batteries is really kind of a new frontier for us as well as the industry. And I think we're going to kind of continue along that path, just trying to get everybody a little bit more self-reliant and be able to actually use that solar within their house rather than producing a bunch of solar during the day that they don't need and exporting it back to their grid. So I really think that's the future of the industry. Solar is strong, but there's so many people that have always wanted a battery. So
can I ask about the relationship with the utility? It's very unique that solar contractor and utility get along as well as you guys do. And the fact that you've created a win-win situation that benefits everyone in your communities is awesome. So I'd love to hear more about how you set that relationship up and what that means for, your customers.
Yeah, definitely. Truthfully, it comes down to timing. Like, timing was just perfect for us, and it was perfect for the utility. A few years ago, the utility went through some big changes with their net metering program, because really the issue was, like I had just touched on, we were getting way too much solar exported to our grid, and the grid was having a hard time dealing with that. So right about the same time they did that, we realized we needed to switch to battery technology, because the buyback rate customers were getting was not really sufficient enough to offset their power bills anymore. So rather than exporting that power and getting paid a lower dollar amount for what you exported than what you're paid, you would put a battery on your house and save all that electricity for the evening time, and then consume that in the evening when you're actually home. And at the same time, our utility started up their WattSmart program to add batteries, and they're creating what they call a virtual power plant. So essentially the utility can take command of all the batteries within their network and have those batteries discharged to prevent brownouts and blackouts, as well as just to restabilize the grid. Sometimes they need just a quick injection of power to get everything to even out. So part of this program, they can pull from your battery at certain points in time just to help the grid out. So
that's amazing. If I understand the VPP program correctly too, without it, a homeowner, if they're not using their solar, because they don't have a battery, it feeds the grid, which means they're probably getting, which the rate to pay for that is a lot less than what they're going to pay the grid to use it in the evening, right? That arbitrage is disadvantageous for a homeowner, and that's the net metering changes. However, with a battery, they can maximize their solar usage and then deploy it to the utility when the utility wants it, which actually is a double win for the homeowner. A, they can use solar, that's their solar, when they want it, instead of getting paid a lower rate by the utility if it were feed the grid. And B, they're in essence a virtual power plant in a micro sense themselves that contributes to the grid, and there's benefits to that as well. So working with you guys through your utility partnership and your expertise in batteries has a multi-layer benefit to your customers.
Right.
Do I have that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I didn't even touch on the fact that now that home has backup power. You know, I would say a lot of people in the solar market, when they purchase solar, have kind of a false idea that they're going to have power when the power goes out. With traditional solar, that's not the case. So while our batteries are geared more towards maximizing savings and using solar as much as you can within your home, that's really, here in Utah, one of the biggest benefits is that backup power. We have really a culture of people that want to be prepared. We have a lot of food storage and just a lot of preparedness here in Utah. So having that battery backup is huge for families, even though we don't see a huge number of power outages across our state. So
it's funny. I know your motto is like 100% customer satisfaction. You guys do a ton with charity work, but I wonder if you could change your motto to, for your customers to be something like, in a blackout where everyone wants to go. The places, if you want friends in a blackout, go with ES Solar. I'm joking, obviously, but
right.
It's really important to have that backup system, especially with the misnomer that just because you have solar doesn't mean it's going to mean you have backup the whole time. The grid kind of stands in between for a variety of reasons. And so just people's personal safety and preparedness is critical, and you guys deliver that, which is, I think, really important. It's a different way to sell solar than a lot of the nation. I think it's going to prepare you really well for California. And I know it makes you guys stand out versus a lot of other contractors, which is great.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much, Jason. It was great to have you on our podcast this week. So hopefully things will go well with you with Scanifly, and looking forward to a brighter future and our partnership with you as well. And Braden, thank you very much for coming on as well and telling us a little bit about what we do here at ES Solar. And thank you all to our customers, our viewers. We like that you watch us every month, and stay tuned for future episodes. Remember to like, subscribe, and we shine a brighter future here with ES Solar. Thank you and have a great day.